Our story begins with our MC, who's totally aware he's been isekai'd into a brand new world. After 9 grueling years of studying, he was just about to graduate. But right at that very moment, our dude stumbles upon people using actual powers. Totally flabbergasted. He can't believe what he's seeing. Our MC and everybody else start losing their minds when they figure out this is a cultivation world. A weird message appears, saying there's an error and he's got to restart. After hearing this, our dude just collapses, crying over 9 wasted years of school. But then a light bulb goes off as he recalls all those transmigration tropes. He assumes his own secret ability has got to be totally OP. So he dashes off to an evaluation ceremony. Everyone's gathered by a huge monument where their potential gets tested. But our MC's result is a total bust. And he just starts sobbing, wanting to go home because it's all gone wrong. As he's whining about his useless life, some mysterious dude pops up with a weird question. The guy asks if he wants to cultivate immortality, which leaves our hero totally floored. And with that, he's whisked away to a gorgeous mountain spot called the Qin Dao sect. The sect master is a dude named Doi Taiwa, who already has a job for our protagonist. The desperate sect master snags him and pleads for his help on a big issue, but the senior brother, Suh Chenu, is just sipping tea, looking totally unbothered by the whole thing. The master explains they need 8 disciples in 1 year or their sect gets shut down. Hearing this, Such Chenu says they only need 1 more person to fix this. But the master claims it's not that simple, since all the sects were brawling over new talent. The old man gripes that other sects were even using honey traps to snag new members. Some sects use gorgeous young ladies to lure guys into joining them. But even with all that, he somehow managed to recruit this kid with 0 talent who would work for free. Our MC is totally stoked and says he'll do whatever if he can just learn to cultivate. The master frets the kid will bail once he learns the truth. So he hatches a scheme. The plan is easy: act like a grandmaster and just teach him a load of garbage. They can bamboozle the MC for a year. And Chenu thinks the whole thing is hilarious. Not long after, the disciple asks his master if he's heard his nickname from others. Intimidating glare. He calls himself a disciple with absolutely 0 talent. But then he flexes some insane power, proving that he's actually super strong. Such Chenu brags that when it comes to faking it, he's the best in the whole region. Then he strikes a dramatic pose, totally full of himself, while his master is just left baffled by his massive ego. The old guy says he just has to keep the newbie from bailing for 1 year and it'll all be good. But to the master's shock, the senior disciple straight up rejects the request with total conviction. He claims that tricking the kid for just 1 year is way too small a goal for his skills. Puffing his chest out, he vows to make our hero want to be in the sect, even in his next life. The master is wowed by his confidence and gives him props for it. What a showman. Chungu gets so cocky he vows to eat his whole sword, dipping sauce and all, if he totally botches this mission. With their chat done, he makes his exit, saying he'll be waiting for our boy on the back mountain. Chungu brushes off his master's offer for a lift, strolling away with major big shot energy. He claims he's not the same weak disciple he once was, the kind who needed a ride. Then our guy throws a very specific hand sign that makes everyone stop and stare. The sect leader is floored, recognizing the technique and wondering if it's Time's legendary move, looking dead serious. Chungu talks of a golden age, just like his master always dreamed of. And then, he unleashes a crazy sword skill using only his fingers. The sect master loses it, screaming that it really is the legendary sword flying technique. He can't wrap his head around it, since Chenyu learned nothing for 10 years. But senior brother Chenu just flashes his master a smug look like it was no big deal. And with that, the sect leader's face just drops as he realizes he's been played once more. Our boy just laughs, admitting it was all a fake out and he still needs that ride. Later, as night falls, the stage is set for the Mountain Peak Showdown. In a gorgeous spot, Suchiyu waits solo for the MC's arrival. But despite his cool guy pose, he's freezing his butt off, all huddled up. He sneezes, whining about picking this chilly spot just to look cool. All of a sudden, he feels a presence and snaps to attention. The MC has finally shown up. He instantly straightens his back, getting into character for his big performance. Our hero shows up totally wiped, amazed at how insane immortals are. Yepping is completely in awe of the intimidating figure standing before him, bathed in the glow of the full moon. His senior brother looks like a legit cultivation master, with a deep, mysterious gaze. He stares down our MC, kicking off his big show. The The protagonist just watches Su Chenu. At the cliff's edge, the senior brother suddenly wraps his sword in blue lightning, looking like an actual god. Totally stunned, Yeping wonders if he's looking at a real-deal sword immortal. But then again, our MC starts getting a strange vibe from this whole situation. He questions why a sect that took in a nobody like him would have such a god-tier disciple. Just then, a wild idea pops into his head, leaving him totally mind-blown by the possibility. Our boy imagines the sect is a secret society of insanely powerful masters. This possibility gets him super hyped up, thinking anyone there could turn him into a total beast. Then our guy recalls when he first joined the sect just earlier that same day. He remembers the entire place looking like a total wreck. It was super old and run down. He didn't pay it much mind then. But now he feels the shabby look was a little too extra. However, even though it was a dump, the place was spotless, which he found really strange. He connects the dots, and it hits him. It was all a front to hide their real power. He's blown away, declaring not even 3 million immortals could touch his senior brother. Hearing this, Changgu grins and says he totally digs the MC's vibe, and decides to take him under his wing. Chenu is eating up the praise, and to pay it back, he decides to show off a little demo. He then says he's giving our boy a grand opportunity to supercharge his powers. He launches a powerful-looking energy blast right at the protagonist. Yiping gets sent flying backward from the sheer force, completely floored by the scene. Chenu explains this breeze is a secret art that massively boosts one's cultivation talent. Our boy is in total shock since no ordinary sect would have such an OP technique. Yiping bows as the senior brother just hides the ouchie in his arm. But in his head, he's laughing his head off because it was just a plain old gust of wind. Right after, he says, before teaching him the blade, he's gonna ask our young man a question. The MC gets hyped. He's seen this in novels where the master tests the student first, with a totally superior air. The phony master asks him what he thinks is the true peak of swordsmanship. Chenu is smirking inside, planning to shoot down whatever answer our boy gives him anyway. Yeping gets all pensive, taking this pinnacle of the sword question super seriously. Our boy thinks the question is amazing and just perfect for this exact moment they're in right now. He's totally convinced he's with a master and wonders how to answer something so deep. He figures the answer can't be basic, so he chooses to be extra careful. A whole hour later, our MC is still deep in thought, which is making his senior brother super annoyed. In his head, Chenu complains he's gonna freeze to death, waiting for this newbie out here. He finally answers that the pinnacle of the sword is a single blade of grass that can slice apart the sun and the moon. Hearing this, Su Chenu is totally floored by the kid's unbelievably extra-dramatic answer. The idea of a simple blade of grass becomes something insanely powerful in his mind. Our boy pictures a single blade of grass with enough power to slice through the heavens and the stars. This just blows Chenu's mind, because not even he could have made up a line that cool. The kid overdid it. Yiping asks if his answer was out of line or something. But on the inside, the senior bro adores the line and decides he's totally stealing it later. So he plays master and says the MC is aiming a bit too high for now. To help him, Chenu draws his sword and says he'll do a little something for our boy. Then, with one quick motion, he carves an energy mark on the ground before him. He says he left a sword mark there so the protagonist can study his technique. He claims the mark holds the ultimate sword intent and that he will be back in 7 days. And just like that, our MC is thrilled. Now, positive, he's in a sect of real masters. Chenu dashes off, happy as a clam, saying he needs to find the others to keep the charade going. He soon finds a girl sitting on a rock in a bamboo forest. The young lady then asks him what he thought about the new junior brother's natural talent. She then turns around, showing her gorgeous face while waiting for her senior's reply. But he just calls her out for spying on them, and she says she was only curious about what was going on. Right then, Chenu gets the brilliant idea to try his new acting skills on his junior sister. He suddenly switches the topic, leaving the girl totally confused about what's going on. With the vibe of a true grandmaster, he asks her if she knows what the true peak of swordsmanship is. She's baffled and asks why he'd bring that up, out of nowhere. He then proclaims that the peak of swordsmanship is using a grass blade to chop up the sun and moon. The girl is totally wowed by his speech, her eyes glittering with awe. She even praises his amazing acting chops, and Chenu hits a super proud pose. After that little show, he gets serious and says it's her turn to answer his question. He wants to know how long she figures it'll take the rookie to grasp this whole sword intent thing. He admits that he doesn't even get this sword intent stuff. And his sister's like, yeah, me neither. The girl is completely baffled. unable to process what she just heard. A whole 2 hours pass. Our MC is still on the cliff, deep in meditation. Super seriously. He sits before the mark on the ground to decipher it, but our guy thinks it's just a crack and starts doubting his master. He then chews himself out for having such dumb thoughts, recalling all the proof that his brother's a true master. Now convinced, he figures he just needs to try harder and scoots closer to the mark. His eyes start glowing as he enters a state of pure focus. Totally sure he's gonna crack the code this time. So, our boy keeps trying to figure out the secret behind that simple crack. Then, bam, a mysterious figure reflects in our hero's eye. Inside his head, a mighty swordsman materializes out of nowhere, wrapped in a crazy aura of blue energy. This dude is holding a longsword that's just pulsing with some insane power. And just like that, the warrior starts showing off his sword moves for our MC. His every action is lightning fast and packed with might, leaving our protagonist totally blown away. In that instant, it's like a huge bell goes off in his head as he has a major breakthrough. He sees 12 sword forms materializing crystal clear in his mind. Then, in this vision of his, he starts practicing with a glowing sword of his own. Our MC drills the moves again and again, trying to master them. With every single rep, he gets quicker and his attacks get sharper. The dude is just practicing non-stop, and his swordplay becomes more and more devastating. Our MC keeps on training in his mind at a ridiculous speed. And with that, he keeps absorbing more sword techniques, hitting 15 moves. Before long, he's already mastered 20 different techniques, and his power level just skyrockets. All this new info floods his brain like some kind of divine data download, snapping back to reality. He opens his eyes, stunned by the light from the mark. As he sits there on the cliff, he's totally dazed, not getting what just went down. But then it hits him, it was all thanks to his amazing senior brother. Our hero recalls the breeze and thinks it must have buffed his talent to some crazy new level. He's crying tears of joy. So sorry he ever doubted his bro. And even though he's totally wiped, he tells himself this is only the start and gets back to training. 7 days go by, and we cut to the senior brother's place way up on the mountain. We see his treasure chest, packed with props for his little performances. He starts getting himself all ready, grabbing a little something to tie his hair back and look extra sharp. With his fit on point, he's ready to go check on our boy's progress. Changgu glances at the sky, remarking it's a perfect day for his schemes. And with that, he heads out, all hyped up, declaring, "It's a perfect day for another one of my performances." We kick things off in the mountains where some dude on a bridge looks absolutely gassed. This swordsman is mega tired and kicking himself for picking this training spot. He's mulling over why everyone thinks this gig is a piece of cake. And man, it really grinds his gears. Rewind to 7 days prior. A young lady questions if he even gets the whole intent of the sword thing. She just starts cracking up, calling him a total loser for grinding 10 years and still not knowing the basics. Naturally, he gets triggered and gives her a little bonk on the noggin, insisting swordplay is super complex. He boasts his style is a top 10 in all of King Zhou. Originally created by some legendary Taoist master, his sword style is split into 4 seasonal forms: spring, summer, fall, and winter. When pressed, he admits he's only at the spring level, and the girl's like, meh. A handy chart shows he's basically on level 1, so the girl does the math and says it'll take him a cool 100 years to master. The senior brother flips out, screaming that one day she'll eat her words and see his true power. She then wonders what kind of genius could actually figure out the entire system all by themselves. The senior brother just scoffs, telling her she's dreaming if she thinks that's even remotely possible. He lectures that the sword's intent is the real secret sauce, turning any basic move into a deadly one. But across 10 entire nations, only one master ever got close to that power, becoming a total legend. But the girl pushes back. Like, but what if someone did reach that level of power? He just shuts her down. That's impossible. 'Cause not even the top prodigy in 500 years could do it. He doubles down, saying, grasping the sword's intent is a total pipe dream. And we're back to the present. He finally makes it to his spot and wonders if his junior bro is even up yet, peeking to the side. He spots our protagonist on the ground, looking like he's been through a blender. Our MC looks like he's been grinding non-stop, sporting some seriously huge dark circles from pure exhaustion. Seeing the kid's state, his senior is totally floored and has zero clue what went down. Then it hits him the kid took that little motivational fib he told him way too seriously. Just then, The guy feels a twinge of guilt, realizing he's basically becoming the villain of this arc. But he decides that, for the sect's sake, he'll just play along for now and totally make it up to the kid later. Our MC then spots his senior and gives him a cheerful greeting. The senior asks how the training's coming along and tells him to show him a move. Pronto. The kid says he finally cracked it and thanks him for the chance. But the senior is just stunned, absolutely floored. The senior asks our MC to run that by him one more time, and our boy confirms it again. He says that, as of this morning, he's mastered a whopping 400 techniques. Hearing this, the senior is just speechless. His face, a mask of total disbelief. Then, he just erupts in laughter, asking if the kid's yanking his chain, since all he did was draw one little mark. Our MC is puzzled by this reaction and asks what's with the chilly reception. The kid just figures that for a real master, 400 techniques is probably just chump change. He thinks with the opportunity and his own talent, he should have nailed 1,000 techniques in just one day. So, with that thought, our boy starts bawling, wailing about how pathetic he is for not learning more. The master tries to chill the kid out, telling him he doesn't have to cap, since it's normal to bomb this technique. But the kid insists he's for real, and the senior gets ticked off, telling him to just quit his flexing. Our MC feels pretty bummed out, thinking his senior deems him unworthy of learning 400 moves. So, our boy says that even if he's not that talented, he can learn cause 400 ain't that big a number. The swordsman totally loses it when he hears this, thinking the kid is seriously dissing the way of the sword. He flashes back to his own grind and how scrubs are clowned for their slow progress. So, the guy decides to school this kid a lesson and dares him to show off the techniques he's supposedly learned. Our MC is totally down for the challenge, and the master thinks this hard-headed kid is about to get a reality check. We see the two of them posted up on a mountaintop, with a massive blue sky stretching out above them. The protagonist then whips out his sword, which starts glowing with intense golden energy, faster than you can blink. He zips forward at an insane speed, leaving a bright trail of light in his wake. His sword techniques are lightning fast and flow smooth as water. Our hero is completely zoned in on the fight, with a sharp, determined look in his eyes. In a split second, our hero had already unleashed 36 sword forms all at once. The older swordsman just watches the flurry of attacks coming at him without even flinching. He's still and calm as the dust and energy from the blows fade around him. But on the inside, the master is totally floored and can't even process what he just saw. The protagonist keeps up the assault with even faster and more savage moves against his master. Even after the 36th hit, he showed no signs of slowing down. The master is still frozen, watching his student's insane speed without even twitching a muscle. Then, a massive blast of golden energy just erupts at the fight scene, lighting up everything in sight. Without a pause, the kid keeps going, hitting the 108th strike. A massive thunderclap just cracks the sky open, totally flipping the weather on them. And with that, the older dude is completely frozen solid and starts breaking out in a cold sweat. Tons of lightning bolts converge to form a thunder dragon, a sight he'd only ever dreamed of seeing. The energy dragon roars up in the heavens, and the man just can't believe what he's seeing. Stunned, the master is left gasping as he realizes this is the legendary dragon's roar. He knows this is the manifestation of the Four Thunders sword's technique at its absolute peak. He then screams that it's impossible because his life goal was to master this move, and this kid nailed it in just 7 days. But the shocker wasn't over yet, as a new green energy dragon shows up in the sky. In 5 seconds, another dragon's roar echoes out, and the summer thunder sword is complete. Before it can even fade, the autumn thunder dragon pops up right after. Almost instantly, 2 energy dragons are roaring together in the sky, while the master is just floored by this insane scene. At this point, our protagonist's moves don't slow down one bit. In fact, they just keep getting even faster. Our hero keeps moving faster and faster, looking like a golden flash across the mountain. Finally, his speed is insane, turning him into a literal blue energy ghost. Then comes the technique's ultimate move. The Winter Thunder Sword is finally perfected, but finishing this one felt totally different from the other 3, making the air super thick. The senior starts sweating bullets, totally floored by his student's insane power. For the master, it felt like winter just hit and all life was dying. Only at move 432 does our boy finally take a break, and just like that, his 7-day study session demonstration was over, and his master is just gobsmacked. Our guy then stops before his senior, waiting for a grade on his performance. He keeps a dead serious, focused look even after all those moves. But our hero stays completely still and says something's off. He depended too much on the sword. He has an epiphany, realizing the weapon was holding him back all along. He finally gets what his senior was trying to teach him with that whole lesson. The master is just standing there with a total, "What the heck is happening?" look on his face, completely clueless about what the kid just said. The kid says a normal sword just cuts, but a heavenly sword uses everything as its blade. And with that, our hero makes a sword of pure light with his hands. As his eyes start to glow, then he unleashes the attack, creating a massive light explosion that obliterates everything in its way. The older guy is shook, wondering if he's dreaming, because our hero just had another breakthrough out of nowhere. He's thinking if the winter sword was all about doom and destruction. This new aura is the polar opposite. It's all about rebirth and new life, overflowing with vitality, creating a massive tree of life. Our hero just stares at the energy sword he made. In that moment, it felt like the entire world. With just one casual move, that blade could wipe out an army of 10,000 soldiers. The master is absolutely floored by this and can't believe his own eyes. Then he starts panicking and screaming in shock, realizing this is the legendary sword intent. While the senior is having a full-on meltdown, our guy just dismisses all that golden energy with a word. But our hero's bummed out, saying he can't feel that power anymore. He complains that his talent sucks because the power-up didn't even last long. Hearing the words "horrible talent," the senior swordsman just completely freezes up, totally stunned. He flashes back to his childhood, when he saw a sword sovereign and chose this life. He realizes the kid awakened the infinite sword intent, making him the biggest genius in the entire country. Our MC then apologizes to his senior, saying his moves are probably just average. Meanwhile, in his head, the master's freaking out, thinking he's a total scrub compared to the kid, but has to play it cool, trying hard to keep a straight face. He agrees his disciple's moves were, yeah, pretty ordinary. He's thinking, if this kid is ordinary, then what in the world does that make him? Even with a tornado of thoughts in his head, the senior keeps a straight, calm face. Suddenly, the master spots something shiny on a rock and asks, "What's up?" Our hero just hands him a notebook, saying they're notes from his training, and the senior asks to take a look. With a dead serious face, the swordsman, he starts flipping through his students' notes. Inside were some next-level principles about the sword moves he'd been taught. Reading this was like staring into the cosmos for the first time. He knew all the words, but together they formed ideas as huge as a galaxy. Stunned, he asks if the kid actually wrote this, and our boy just says it was a wild guess. But inwardly, the master's brain is short-circuiting because he gets none of it. He's wondering how our MC got it all so fast. He trained for 10 years and barely got the basics of a move this kid nailed in just 7 days. And to rub salt in the wound, the kid also unlocked the infinite sword intent, which makes him feel like absolute trash, trying to get a grip on himself. The master tells his student to keep at it and that he'll be back in a couple of days. But seeing his master's face, our MC thinks he's about to get the boot. In a panic, the protagonist grabs his master, begging him not to get ditched, since he'd finally found a place that took him in. For 6 months, nobody wanted him since he lacked a spiritual root. Our guy then realizes there's no way he learned all that just by staring at the sky. With this new resolve, our hero gets dead set on not blowing this opportunity, thinking everyone in this sect is some kind of legend. Meanwhile, over at the sect master's place, things seem super chill and private. Over there, the big boss is just vibing, sipping tea, and checking out the flowers in his garden. But all of a sudden, some dude comes sprinting and screaming his head off that something awful went down. This new guy is our hero's master, and the sect leader asks him what's got his panties in a twist. The swordsman says his boss's dream might just come true, because the sect is on the verge of creating a dragon. Hearing that word, the sect leader is totally floored, his eyes bugging out. The sect master is baffled and asks his subordinate what he even means by a dragon. He explains that the new kid, who started with nothing, already aced the whole sword style in just 7 days. The elder says he better not be kidding, but his student points to that crazy phenomenon in the sky as proof. The sect master then admits to himself he thought it was just some pro passing through, but now he gets that the kid was behind the whole thing. With this bombshell, the sect leader starts bawling and yelling that they finally have a true genius. Seeing this, The swordsman tries to chill out his boss, who is totally freaking out. So, the elder dunks his own head in water to cool off. Recalling an old prophecy, his subordinate asks if they're gonna hold our boy back, but the leader says other sects already gave him the boot. He adds that cultivation is all about fate, and big sects are super dangerous. The master says he'll spill the beans when their sect gets bigger, and the kid can then pick his own way. Convinced, the swordsman says he gets it, and will follow his master's lead. The next day, the sect leader is kicking back, enjoying a lazy afternoon. But out of nowhere, his peaceful vibe is shattered by a student with bad news. The swordsman shows up again, screaming that something major just went down. The sect leader pulls a really weird face. Thinking it's the loan sharks, he tries to bolt, saying the sect is now his disciple's problem. The master stops, totally confused, wondering what's up. Then he gets mad and smacks his guy for the false alarm that almost gave him a heart attack. After that mess, we get a sweet view of their mountain HQ. Now that the master's chilled out a bit, the boss asks what the real deal is, and the swordsman just hands him a notice to read. The paper says the admin office is auditing all unranked sects, and to prove they're legit, they need to cough up 10 spirit stones in 2 months or get shut down. Livid, the sect leader flips a table and screams he's taking this to the emperor. For context, a single spirit stone costs a whopping 10 taels of gold, which means they'd basically have to starve a year to pay up. The swordsman tries to calm his master and asks what their current spirit stone count is. The big reveal. The elder holds up his hands, showing the number 7. His disciple guesses 70 stones. But the leader's like, no way. Then the kid wonders if he means 70 gold coins, but his boss shoots that down too. Desperate, he asks if it's silver. But the master, now a puddle on the floor, reveals it's 70 copper coins. Hearing this, his disciple absolutely loses it and just screams into the void. He can't believe they're that broke. But his master confirms the sad truth. The leader explains the sect had savings, but he heard about some new cultivation fund and figured silver was a waste. According to the old-timer, it was a high-yield monthly return type of deal. A classic get-rich-quick scam everyone was hopping on. He just didn't realize the scammers wanted his cash and dipped with it all. Sobbing, the sect leader admits he got scammed and asks his subordinate for a hug, totally crushed by this. The senior bro thinks it's over and maybe they should just split up. The sect was totally toast at this point. But the master rallies, saying he can't let the sect die because they've got a genius now. You see, just then, a massive blue lightning bolt zaps the sky super close to where they are. The sect leader is stunned and looks where that crazy power came from. The swordsman then realizes it's from his new junior brother's place. The guy wonders what that sky beam was and if the rookie has leveled up again. But the master says that's impossible, because not even geniuses can cultivate that fast. The leader then says he's going to find some stones and tells his disciple to watch our MC. 7 days later, our boy is still grinding on the cliff. There, our MC is seen training hard with his new sword. He's showing off some incredible skill, pulling off several flawless moves. From afar, his senior brother is watching the MC's training session. He's stunned by the kid's gains and admits the light show was real. The swordsman thinks the pressure from seeing this much talent is just insane. Right then, our hero spots his senior and greets him with a ton of respect. The kid says he's learned all 1,460 moves. The senior bro gets super emotional and starts crying, trying to pull it together. He explains that mastering the moves is literally just the first step. He figures he needs to lay it on thick or his whole cover will be blown. So, with a curious look, our boy asks what level his senior is at. The swordsman hits a dramatic pose to answer. He just pulls it out of thin air, saying he's at the first level of the supreme sword path, with stars in his eyes. Our hero is totally floored, calling him a hidden master. The senior doubles down on the fib, saying this level already makes him number 1 across 10 nations. The newbie is shook when he realizes his senior is the top dog. Our hero shouts that he must have ascended to become a dragon, and that he never dreamed this was possible. He vows to train hard to catch up, making the senior feel kinda guilty for being so nice. Our protagonist thinks this whole thing feels like a dream, since just a few days ago, he was a total nobody. The protagonist just stares at the gorgeous sunset. Meanwhile, his senior is watching him with a seriously pensive look. He asks if the kid was a scholar before, and the newbie says he was into reading and painting. With a grin, the senior asks for a hand with a painting. He's already thinking ahead, Imagining he'll brag about owning art from the future goat swordsman, our protagonist awkwardly agrees, telling his senior not to judge him if the painting sucks. Back in his old life, our MC joined a painting club just to get a girl. He even trained for 3 whole years and got good at it. But in the end, the girl bounced and left him for some rich dude. He was absolutely crushed, crying on the floor because painting didn't fix his love life. An hour later, back in the present, he hands the painting to his senior with a smile. The senior thinks the kid looks kinda handsome when he gets all serious. We see our protagonist totally in the zone, pouring his soul into the art. He then hands over the scroll, saying he hopes his senior likes it. His senior brother just tells him not to sweat it and begins to unroll the scroll to take a look. But when he sees the painting, his eyes bulge out in pure shock at what's on it. On the scroll, a stunning painting is revealed, showing the senior brother himself. He's floored by the art, which shows dusk's glow blanketing the whole sky. The Kenjin mountain range is depicted like a real paradise, with flowers and trees. Just then, he notices the painting's realism is insane, right down to the details. But the real showstopper is the figure of himself, dead center in the piece. With just a side profile, the painting nails the powerful aura of a sword immortal. The drawing is so lifelike. It seems like the figure is about to leap right off the scroll. He showers the painting with praise, saying its only flaw is that it can't capture all his radiant beauty. And with that, our hero thanks him for the compliment, calling it a gift for his guidance. But as he looks at the work again, the swordsman spots something he totally missed before. He sees a small red signature in the scroll's bottom corner. The signature says, King and Hermit, and he playfully roasts the kid for giving himself a cool guy name. Suddenly, a powerful voice booms out, calling for Changgu, our hero's senior. The swordsman knows that voice, saying it's a message from the sect master. He then snags the painting, wondering what kind of solution his leader has in mind. At the Tao Sword Sect, one of the 3 great sects of King Zhou, somebody there unleashes a massive attack. A sick purple dragon energy just erupts in the sky. Then we cut to the sword cliff where a mark is glowing like a supernova. Some dude is floored by the 4 Seasons ancestor's sword mark. But the lady next to him is like, "Dude, what did you expect? Only geniuses show up here, out of nowhere." The rock's mark blasts a huge energy wave over the whole crowd. And just like that, a blonde dude yells out, absolutely stoked, because he finally gets the technique. He then yanks the energy right off the cliff, focusing it into his palm with a smug grin. One of the cultivator's jaws drops, seeing Su Hang hit the great completion of the sword. The girl remarks he's a total genius, doing in 1 year what takes others 3. Meanwhile, the sect elders are watching the disciples' progress from afar. One master gives props to his buddy for having such a skilled disciple in their sect. Su Hang's master is beaming with pride, but plays it cool about the kid's big win. But then a red-haired elder says not to pop the champagne just yet. He goes on, saying his disciples are just holding back. That's why they haven't leveled up yet. The red-haired elder blows a gasket at the taunt and screams. But a third master jumps in, telling them to chill, because the leader gave a direct order. The other 2 are now all ears, dying to know what the sect leader has cooked up. He explains that the top 10 from the conference get a super special prize. Hearing this, the 2 elders are absolutely stunned by this bombshell news. The prize, a token to get into the Taichuan Sword Tower and take on its trials. And he says this with a wicked grin. Zheng's master boasts his disciples a shoe-in for a spot. But his buddy tells him not to count his chickens just yet, since it would be super embarrassing if he lost. The other guy laughs and bets that if an outsider from the 3 sects wins, he'll be on latrine duty. The scene then cuts back to the Qinyun sect, inside the sect master's place. Inside, we see the sect leader chatting with our MC's senior brother, looking totally baffled. The swordsman asks what their big money-making plan is. The master then unveils the solution to their money woes. And it's a huge pile of junk. Furious, our MC's brother asks if they're seriously gonna make cash with that trash. With a smug smile, the leader explains, these are the sect's greatest treasures, and they're selling them. The swordsman is having none of it, refusing to take part in this humiliation, but his master latches onto him, pleading for help. Then, the elder spots the scroll and yanks it right out of his disciples' hands. The leader cries that the sect is going broke, and they have to sell the painting to stay afloat. And so, the duo hits the city and heads right for the Lai pawn shop. Once inside, a super eager employee greets them and welcomes them in. The clerk then asks if they're here to buy or to make a sale. And the master claims he's got some high-end goods. Hyped up, the kid asks to see the amazing treasures they've brought. But when he opens the bag, the employee's smile just disappears. He's staring at a pile of junk. The appraiser's whole face sours, and he gets this look of pure disgust. As he flips through one of the books, he finds a drawing of a lady in some revealing gear. The shop guy turns beet red, totally flustered by the book's spicy art. Desperate, the master screams, "That's the wrong one, and it's not for sale." Our MC's brother then asks his master if he can borrow the book. He agrees instantly. The clerk then offers 10 gold taels for the whole pile of junk, leaving the master totally stunned. The sect leader gets heated and tries to haggle, but the clerk could not care less about the stuff's quality. The elder then pleads for 8 taels, but the young guy's answer is a hard no. Getting desperate now, the old man offers 5 taels, claiming it's his final price. Mortified, our hero's bro has had enough and just begs them to leave already. Just then, the clerk spots the scroll and asks to peek at the painting inside. The moment he sees the paper, the clerk recognizes it and asks why they're playing the part of broke peasants. The sect leader is floored and asks if the paper is actually pricey. The appraiser confirms, saying the paper itself is worth more than 10 gold taels. Looking at the scroll closer, he spots a glowing red signature that practically shines. After reading the name on the signature, the young man's face shifts to one of pure shock and absolute awe. He pulls an assistant aside for a private chat about the item. Meanwhile, the sect master is totally clueless about the clerk's sudden reaction. Meanwhile, the master just watches them whispering in the corner. The coworker then has to ask if he's absolutely sure, and the appraiser confirms it's the real deal. With a total 180 in attitude, the guy smiles and asks them to please wait a moment. The master and his student are baffled by the shift, but they agree to hang on. After 1 hour, the clerk is back, saying his boss confirmed the art's value. The swordsman, being the honest one, tries to spill the beans, but his master shuts him down before he can blow the deal. Seeing an opening, the leader holds up 5 fingers, saying that's his last offer. He then chuckles to himself. Knowing they have no clue what this painting really is, the appraiser pretends to think it over, mulling the old man's proposal. His apprentice whispers that he's being too greedy, but the elder insists it's all part of his master plan, shocking everyone. The clerk accepts the offer of 5,000 gold taels. The leader was about to gloat about his genius plan, but both he and his disciple are absolutely floored by that number, eyes wide. The elder can't process what he just heard and asks the young man to say that again. The appraiser calmly confirms the offer is indeed for 5,000 taels. The duo gets suspicious and asks if this dude is pulling their leg. He then assures them their shop is legit and never messes around with business. The swordsman is stunned, wondering how his brother's random doodle is worth a fortune. He whispers to the master to just take the deal before they change their minds and save the sect. But his face is dead serious. The master says there's a mistake. The real price is 50,000 taels. Utterly shocked, the swordsman screams at the old man, asking if he's gone completely insane. The shop clerk is taken aback and asks if the master is serious about 50,000 taels. The old man confirms it, saying he won't take a single coin less. Panicking, our hero's brother silently begs his master to please be reasonable for once in his life. He's wondering what kind of insane painting could be worth that kind of cash. But to the surprise of them both, the appraiser just starts laughing and praises their guts. He says his boss was right about them, and that they are clearly not amateurs. The young man then suggests they stop playing games and talk price. He explains that for a piece by the Shinglin hermit, that price ain't undoable. The sect leader and his disciple are just totally gobsmacked by what they just heard. They can't process that insane amount is for real. Meanwhile, the elder is panicking inside, because he just made that number up on the spot. The master's losing it, wondering how a drawing could be worth this much. He breathes deep, trying to play it cool so he won't tank the deal. His new plan is to just keep him talking to fish for more intel, switching up his whole posture. The master acts like he's a total expert. He then drops that other shops have ID'd the artist too. The attendant keeps explaining. The name Ching Hermit is not some secret anymore. He's already blown up big time with the art experts. Even though he just showed up on the scene, he's already being called the top scholar in the nation. His calligraphy is seen as a flawless and one-of-a-kind masterpiece. The clerk also adds his painting skills are on a whole other level. The fire in each brushstroke wows anyone who sees his art. The kid tells them that nationwide, tons of ladies have totally fallen for his poetry. They're totally captivated, admiring his scrolls and art. Many lose sleep just picturing what the artist's face looks like. They dream of the genius dude behind all that talent and pure mystery. Even the snootiest scholars have bowed down to his genius. They all try to copy and break down his work to learn from the master. The hermit's unique style basically kicked off a cultural revolution in art. It's a huge bummer he vanished before the world could even meet him. The employee just keeps on saying, the world never got lucky enough to see his face. The only real shame is that he dipped out before his works were even discovered. He says scholars live for rep. But this artist treated it like dirt. That dude makes him feel ashamed but also full of total admiration. The master and his disciple are sweating buckets, not believing what they're hearing. The elder then realizes they're talking about our MC, his own apprentice. The young man confirms the story is exactly as he's heard, but warns that since it's a portrait, the painting has one massive flaw. Our hero's bro feels super awkward because he thought his good looks added value. He feels like a total moron for thinking that and is mortified. With a dark aura, the master gets his disciple's attention. The elder reminds him the artwork's price is now going to be way lower than he hoped. Angrily, the appraiser moans that tens of thousands of taels just went poof. He's furious that a simple portrait totally devalued the masterpiece. The elder's eyes are glowing red, and he says he could just eat someone. His disciple tells him to chill out before they totally blow their cover. The master gets a grip and tells the guy to quit stalling and just give them the price already. The shop then offers 10,000 taels since it's not a landscape. Without even hesitating, the sect leader takes the deal right then and there. He says the kid seems legit and tells him to bring the cash over quickly. After finally sealing the deal, the two dip from the shop and head on back to the city. The sun is shining bright as they walk through the busy streets. The disciple then asks his master why he didn't try somewhere else. Shop. The elder's like, that's plenty. We're cutting it off here. Rocking a serious face, the sect leader drops his grand plan on the kid. If word gets out, they're toast because of this priceless art. The big bro's totally floored by his master's chill and big brain moves. The old man puffs his chest out, like, this is why I'm the boss, with a smug grin. The duo finally peeks at the fat stack of cash they just scored. They've got the cash to pull the sect out of the red. The master, celebrating, hoists the gold, yelling that they're loaded now. And the sect is officially saved. His disciples ecstatic, having never seen this much dough. But the good vibes didn't last long, as the old man chews out his student for wanting his own portrait. Then the master starts pondering our boy's mysterious backstory. He's like, just how many secrets is this kid artist keeping tucked away? The big bro figures the kid either has his reasons or is just clueless about his own insane talent. But he's scratching his head over where the kid got that pricey rice paper. The wise old master says they'll back off, 'cause everyone's got secrets. He trusts that when the time is right, the kid will spill the beans on his own. The disciple's caught off guard by the master's serious tone and asks where they're headed. He figured the master would try to squeeze more paintings from his little bro, but with a sly grin. The sect leader says he's about to hook his disciple up with an awesome gift, a reward for saving the sect from going belly up. Next thing you know, they're standing before a massive, intimidating pavilion. This place looks super important, rocking a seriously mysterious vibe. Tunned, the swordsman clocks his master's plan and is left totally speechless. He asks if the old man is seriously going into the pavilion of origin. The disciple's freaking out, thinking his master's lost his mind, since this is the priciest shop in all of Bago City. But the old man just tells him to chill out, because the cash was all earned by the little bro, and promises he knows exactly how to play his cards right. The old man is convinced the sect's whole future is riding on our MC, and their comeback story is all up to that young genius. The swordsman keeps stressing that the place is crazy expensive, so his master just flashes the bills with a super smug look on his face. Then the old man tells his disciple to shut it and start acting like he owns the place. He says confidence is everything. You gotta fake it till you make it. Inside, two gorgeous ladies greet them, welcoming them to the mysterious origin pavilion. At this, the master's totally red-faced and just blown away by the joint. He's thinking, so this is how the 1% lives. A far cry from the pawn shop. An attendant asks if they need magic tools or scrolls, and the sect leader, going full big spender, says he wants the best and asks for the damage. The lady says top-tier manuals go for 100,000 taels. But hey, there's a 30% discount since it's the shop's anniversary. The big bro is absolutely floored by that ridiculous price tag. He can't process the price and just starts to short-circuit. Another employee confirms the price with a sly smile, saying, after the event, a deal this good will be long gone. Totally devastated. The kid feels like a total peasant and realizes the world of the rich is on a whole other level he can't even comprehend. Imagine? The master tells his apprentice to stop panicking and have some courage. But the young man whispers that their money won't even cover one set. Our hero's brother asks the woman the price of just an introductory volume. And this question leaves the sect leader very confused. The attendant is surprised and asks if he's sure, warning him that buying only the introductory volume is completely useless. The swordsman tells her not to worry about its usefulness, and the woman warns that the shop doesn't accept returns. So he asks for the price again, whispering. The master thinks it's crazy to spend so much money, but his apprentice reminds him of our hero's incredible learning ability. At this, the sect leader recalls that the kid understood an entire technique from a single sword mark and realizes the young man can do it. The confident smile. The elder agrees that for that monster, the initial volume is more than enough, and that they'll make a huge profit. Shortly after, the attendant returns with 3 manuals that can be sold separately, and the elder asks which one is the most powerful. She then recommends the riverflow sword technique and says a genius might even learn the next level from it. But the woman reveals that this is the most expensive one and costs 9,000 taels of gold, which makes the apprentice's soul nearly leave his body in shock. Even so, the master decides to bet everything on his disciple's genius and, with a war cry, tells her to wrap up the expensive manual. He also orders the rest of the money to be spent on pills, and the young man asks if he's not going to save any. But the elder says no. Our hero's brother is completely paralyzed and stares at his master, surprised by the decision to spend all the sect's money at once. The broken heart. The elder cries while hugging his money, reluctant to pay, leaving the place. The master continues to cry the whole way, and the young man asks him to stop the drama because he's getting embarrassed. Suddenly, the elder has an idea and asks if the other 2 brothers will also be taking the alchemist and array master exams. The young man confirms and asks if they're going back. But the sect leader yells, "No way," and forbids any talk of money for 2 months. Then the elder says he's taking his disciple to a secret place, and they arrive at a stall that sells manuals by the pound. The stall vendor asks if they want to weigh some manuals. The apprentice can't believe it and asks if this is really the secret place with treasures his master mentioned. The elder assures him there are treasures there and reveals it's where he found the young man's sword technique, leaving him completely shocked. The sect leader starts haggling and calls the price a ripoff. So, the vendor makes a counteroffer of at most 5 caddies. At this, the swordsman squats down to look for something good in the piles of books, while his master continues negotiating in the background. With a very serious and focused look, the young man begins to search through the piles of manuals for any useful technique, but he only finds books with bizarre and utterly useless covers and titles like fighting manuals or suspicious romance novels. The young man gets furious and realizes it's all garbage, and that none of those techniques can actually be cultivated. The master returns very satisfied, hugging the shopping bag. Then the young man asks if his master isn't going to buy anything for himself. But the elder just asks what he'd even buy, with a sly grin. The elder says he's a simple old dude, whose joy is watching his students and the sect thrive. The apprentice thinks his master's whole vibe is kinda corny, and the elder flips out, threatening to discipline him if he can't master the technique in 7 days. The sect leader clarifies that he needs to learn the basics so he can fake teaching our hero while they trick the kid with bogus manuals. The swordsman gets worried and wonders if our hero, with his absurd comprehension, wouldn't be able to learn something even from those fake manuals. The elder just bursts out laughing and says his apprentice is totally traumatized by the protagonist's talent, revealing his own technique wasn't from that stall. He explains the stall's books are inspired by real arts, but are basically just useless fanfiction with no real application, flashing some kids' picture books. He says it'd never pass for a cultivation manual and would only fool a total noob like our hero. The apprentice then asks why he offered to give the books to the others, and the master admits it was a prank. He'll just use them for decor. The elder roars with laughter at the thought of learning from that trash and swears he'd eat the books if it happened. The swordsman then suggests they should dupe the protagonist into making another painting to fix their other brother's issue. The leader sighs, since he's already considered that, but feels guilty using our hero like an ATM, even if the sect needs the cash. This is exactly why the old man hates moral quandaries. He gets super annoyed and decides to just worry about it later. So, he switches topics and orders his disciple to train our hero for 2 months for a sword conference, which totally stuns the apprentice. The disciple is absolutely floored by the conference news and asks if his master is even being serious. He freaks out, warning that the protagonist has 0 internal energy and this is a real deathmatch. The apprentice remembers he competed before, and with a ton of luck, barely cracked the top 500. thinking our hero's gonna get obliterated. The master just says, he'll explain later, and tells him to fib to the others, saying they only broke even on the money. We cut back to the mountain, where our hero's practicing his swordplay. We see the protagonist going hard with his sword training, unleashing beams of golden light into the air. The senior brother weeps with jealousy because our hero already mastered sword momentum in no time. Just then, our hero spots his senior brother's presence and says hello, asking what brings him here. The swordsman strolls over and asks if his sword practice has been getting a little dull lately. With a grin, the protagonist says, nope, because he gets better daily, so it's never boring. This reply leaves the senior brother totally stunned, and he wonders if that's something a human would even say. The apprentice then says if he is bored, he could give him a new manual to try and figure out. Our hero's face flips in an instant, and with a desperate plea, he shouts that he's super bored. He figures if a sword scratch taught him an art, a whole cultivation manual will probably let him ascend to godhood. So, the senior hands the manual to our hero, revealing it's the ancient art of the demon god. The cover shows a massive demonic beast about to chow down on a buff warrior. Our boy is floored, thinking a name like Court of the Demon God has to be an S-tier technique, rocking a wild grin. He's convinced his sect is some secret, super OP immortal society. The senior then spins a yarn about finding the manual in old ruins, claiming its origin is a total mystery. He says that since our hero's spiritual root is kinda trash, beefing up his body is the best way to power up. But inside, the swordsman is freaking out over his own lie. He dips out real quick, plotting his escape before his bro finds out the manual is absolute garbage. The dude is so proud of his flawless scheme and can't wait to play the Grandmaster role again. As night falls, we see our MC's silhouette on a peak, grinding with his sword. He keeps up the intense training, recalling the new technique he just scored, the ancient art of the demon god. Our kid thinks the name is epic and way cooler than his previous technique, and he's totally hyped to dive in. But our MC knows that to learn something new, he needs total focus and can't split his attention. So, he decides to chill and max out his current skill before touching the new one. The scene then zips over to the home of Chenu, the protagonist's senior brother, high up on a mountain. There, the swordsman sits cross-legged, ready to finally study the real technique he bought. With total concentration, the swordsman starts to study the new sword technique they got from the city. But soon, he falls into total despair, since he can't understand a single thing from the pricey manual. Inside his head, our protagonist pictures a whole flurry of different sword moves. His strikes are crazy fast and precise as he trains non-stop. After half a day of this hard work, our young man finally masters the thunder sword technique. Completely drained, our boy takes a deep breath after the hardcore training session. He then thinks that now all that's left is to master the technique's hardest part, even though his superior said nothing. He totally gets that he can't rush things. Our MC figures the manual was a perfectly timed gift to keep him from getting cocky. With a grin, he's sure his senior brother is some kind of strategic mastermind. After that, our young man starts reading the manual he was given. The book is revealed to be the ancient demon god body refinement art. It talks about a legendary being who achieved total oneness with the universe. He discovers that this is a method for body cultivation. Different from spiritual training, this technique promises the power to shatter all of creation with just a single punch. The end goal is to mimic gods and demons to forge a divine body. Completely floored, our protagonist is just amazed by how incredible this technique is. He learns this method needs cruel suffering and can only be mastered by someone with immense willpower and wisdom. With a determined grin, he thinks that cultivation without a challenge is no fun, and that his past life as a total geek is finally going to pay off. He then moves on to the main content, but gets confused seeing a stick figure in a super weird pose. Inside the book, there's a body refinement picture that he needs to study hard, carefully. Our boy gets the logic behind the pose, but is completely embarrassed by how ridiculous it looks. Despite the embarrassment, he decides to give it a shot and starts mimicking the bizarre pose under the sunlight, blushing bright red. He tries to convince himself that his senior brother wouldn't lie to him. With that, our MC tells himself to focus and fills with determination, believing he can master the technique. We see the ink scroll pavilion in the Jinn Nation. Inside, a man asks a white-haired woman if her draft is ready because the deadline is closing in. The girl gets annoyed and tells the guy to get off her back as she's already rushing. The man complains that her book sold less than 3 copies and suggests she write something simpler and more direct. Furious, The young woman tells him to write it himself, if he's so bent out of shape. Since she likes that kind of story. Changing the subject, she asks what he found out about the request she made. The girl gets super hyped with the news, and can't wait to finally go to the academy and meet interesting people. 3 days have passed, and our young man continues his training at the top of the cliff. But the effort is so great that he ends up with internal bleeding from pushing himself too hard. With a tired look, he complains that he's coughed up blood 3 times already and still hasn't figured anything out. He then remembers the manual, says the talented, get it on the first try, and wonders if he's really that bad. Even exhausted, our boy refuses to give up and decides to try one more time with all his persistence. From that day on, he ramps up his training to 11 hours a day with only 1 hour of rest. With a look of pure determination, he swears he won't give up until he masters this cultivation method. He then starts thinking that the simpler the method, the deeper its meaning. The name of the technique is observing the heavens, and he wonders if it means to observe everything or to have a global view. He recalls a book about the 3 eyes mortal vision, celestial vision, and Dharma vision. Our young man remembers that the Dharma eye allows one to perceive the essence and laws of everything. He then decides he needs to reach a higher level and perceive the essence of all things. With this in mind, he focuses completely on understanding the essence and laws of the universe. The words observing the heavens and Dharma eye connect in his mind. His eyes shine brightly, and with a calm expression, he finally seems to understand. Observing the golden landscape, our young man says that he now understands a little about the technique. He says that ordinary people look at the sky and feel its vastness, but they don't understand what it truly is. With a look of revelation, he shouts that the manual means everyone already has a demon god within them. Our young man then calls himself an idiot for almost failing to reach an enlightenment that was so close. So, our MC understands that he doesn't need to look at the heavens, but rather look within his own heart to find out. He focuses on searching the depths of his soul to find his own demon god. A gentle breeze passes by him at that moment, and suddenly, our protagonist's eyes fly wide open. Before him, an immense creature with multiple arms emerges amidst a landscape of pure flames. Our boy's eyes shine as he has a big brain moment. This is his inner demon god. And over at the 10 Nations Academy, we see some pretty sketchy looking people. One side dude with a creepy smile thinks this is a sign the heavens haven't bailed on them, but another guy shuts him down, telling him to get a grip because he looks more like a demon's spawn. The other side character says not to get hyped, since celestial signs are bunk, and to be absolutely sure, it's probably smarter to just wait and watch for a bit longer. The dude with the shark teeth says if this thing's legit gold, it can't stay hidden. Meanwhile, the star keeps blazing across the night sky, glowing brighter than anything else. Now, over in the Grand Shia Imperial Palace, a lady tells Her Majesty the stars have gone haywire. She then wonders what if this divine being pops up outside their kingdom's borders. The red-headed emperor just chills on his throne, looking totally unbothered by the whole situation. With a killer stare, he orders them to snatch this person, because everything in this world is his empire's property. Over in the frozen beast plains, that same shooting star is zipping across the night sky. On the ice, a massive beast with razor-sharp teeth is just laying there. As the snow falls, bam, a white-haired warrior appears before the creature, hauling it by its tusk. We get a close-up on this jacked dude who looks like he's from some kind of wild tribe. Or maybe he's even a demon. He cracks a smirk, finding the birth of someone with divine power pretty darn interesting. The warrior says demons like him will have to work twice as hard because of this. After that, we cut over to Chenu's residence, which is perched on a faraway mountain. There, our MC's senior bro is getting a headache from a book he can't understand a single word of. He chucks the manual on the ground, wondering what kind of psycho came up with such an impossible cultivation method, but he chills out, thinking it's no big deal if he can't actually master the technique. He flashes back to his boss, who'd totally lose it if he thought the book was a phony. With a super bummed out look, he gripes that the stupid loan shark won't get off his back about the debt. Staring at the sky, he lets out a sigh, wondering what's been up with him lately. And then he spots that shooting star streaking across the sky. He mutters that every midnight he gets super emo and wonders if this is what being depressed feels like. Smoking his pipe, he then asks himself what the point of living even is. We see our guy is being spied on from a cliff as someone watches him. The watcher is a young lady who's wondering what's up with her senior brother, that he's suddenly stargazing. She then wonders if something's bothering him and asks for a take from the second senior brother. Shuluchin. The guy replies, It's cause the newbie has no talent, and their senior brother has absolutely zero patience. With that, he decides tomorrow he'll teach the rookie himself and show his brother how to be a proper role model. Back to our main guy. We again see that vision of the multi-armed demon god inside his head. The creature's face looks like a Buddha statue, its eyes glowing in the middle of the flames. Meanwhile, our boy keeps on meditating under the starry night. He's totally locked in on his discovery, with his eyes glowing. If he finally gets that this is his very own unique body cultivation technique, he keeps his mind focused on the massive creature that's the symbol of his inner power. This thing holds him in its palm, and its sheer presence is so incredibly powerful. It's nearly impossible to even look at it. The demon god's eyes snap open, and a blinding light engulfs our boy. And just like that, a massive info dump on cultivation gets beamed into our MC's brain. Back in the real world, our guy is still meditating under the night sky, nestled in the mountains. Then suddenly, he opens his eyes, which are now glowing with a fierce blue light. A clear sign he's leveled up. He gets up, now, understanding this ancient art that uses the sky as a hammer and the earth as a forge to temper the body. This whole technique is split into 5 different stages, going from a lesser demon all the way to an ancestral god. Right now, the part he learned is the lesser demon god chapter, which is already a huge power-up for the body. The secret is using spiritual energy to link heaven and earth, then forging your body with that power. But this whole process is super dangerous, since the body breaks and reforms over and over, demanding some serious willpower. Our boy gets it completely. The stronger the cultivation technique, the bigger the test of his endurance. But he starts to freak out, because just to start, he needs a crazy amount of spiritual energy. The issue is, he has zero juice. So he recalls hearing that pills can create power. He's a little hesitant, since those things can be risky. But then remembers, his master said, the second senior brother is a pro with pills. Cut to the second senior brother's place, which is perched on a mountaintop. And inside, we find the second brother totally focused, masterfully crafting a glowing pill in his palm. He mutters that, tomorrow, he'll show his senior brother what being a real teacher and role model is all about. Meanwhile, over at the senior brother's house, the sun is already coming up, and the vibe is totally different. He's on his knees, absolutely losing it, because he can't figure out his cultivation manual. With a look of sheer desperation, he screams that he can't make sense of a single word that's written. Exhausted from all the effort, he just gives up and flops on the floor, declaring he's not going to think about it anymore. Lee mopes that all this hard work is pointless, because in the end, everyone just becomes a pile of dust anyway. The master pops up behind him just as the senior brother seems to have completely lost hope. The master just watches him, looking like he knows exactly what's up with his disciple. Walking over, the master asks how his student, Chungu, is doing with that sword technique manual. The kid gets up with this enlightened grin and says it really doesn't matter if he gets it, because the real secret is just letting go. The master is blinded by this aura from his disciple and wonders what on earth he's been cultivating, with a chill smile. Chungu explains that he hasn't actually cultivated a thing, but now he just doesn't give a damn about anything. Sighing, the master says he saw this coming and decides they're going to the Silent Forest Mountains. The master says a do-or-die trial will help him grow, but Chungu does not look thrilled about it. Hearing the name Silent Forest Mountains, his whole face just shifts to pure terror. This is the most dangerous zone in all of Qingzhoujiu, packed with powerful and nasty demonic beasts. The master explains that, while the kid is off training, he can hunt some beasts to make some cash for the others. Chungu pulls a 180 and just bolts, screaming, saying he won't go. But his master hits him with the, "You promised" line. We cut to the Four Thunder Sword sect, one of Qingzhoujiu's 3 big sects. There, an old dude congratulates his disciples, as 7 of them have hit a high level of cultivation. He keeps going, saying 2 of them even reached perfection, which is a seriously impressive feat. Super proud, the leader hypes up the young'uns, calling them the absolute best prodigies in all of Qingzhoujiu. But he warns them the next sword conference will be a real grind, and that he'll train them himself. The disciples are totally floored, since they've never even laid eyes on the sect master, and wonder what the heck is going on. The leader says the reason is irrelevant and reveals a hidden sect will also be joining the event. This news has everyone shook, as a hidden sect's presence makes everything way more complicated. These hidden sects are leftovers from ancient forces and have much stronger inheritances. The scene then shifts over to the Grand Hall of the Four Thunder Sword Sect, where this big meeting is going down. In the hall, the sect leaders bow, but the master says there's no need for formalities, since he called them here for some serious business. The sect master then strolls into the main hall with his crew, and the atmosphere gets super tense. Turning to the whole room, the leader says he's gathered them all to talk about a super important matter. At this, one of the guys asks what's up, and if the problem is about the Sword Tower token, but the elder shuts that down, saying the matter is way bigger. Mentioning the 10 Nations Academy, one of the women is shocked by the name, asking if the legendary academy is recruiting students again. This place is the most elite academy on the whole continent, and its recruitment is so tough that sometimes nobody gets in. The master then confirms the imperial court is sending someone to pick prodigies for the academy. All the leaders are completely stunned and immediately ask who this mystery person is going to be. See, on this continent, the court's power totally outranks all of the sects, so they have no choice but to play along. With that, the elder whips out a scroll with a painting to help them get the picture. The image on the scroll shows a fancy-looking person in a field, with a golden light just glowing in the background. The leaders recognize the art style and wonder if the figure shown is this so-called envoy from the court. The master then recalls the artist vanished 6 months ago, and that he was good enough to get into any sect he wanted. The elder then tells a tale about a genius swordsman who got kicked out of the academy and became an inspector general. One of the attendees chimes in that there are rumors this inspector is a total stud, and they're all wondering why they don't know him. One leader is skeptical and asks if the master has any actual proof for his theories. With a smug grin and a twinkle in his eye, the elder states that of course he has proof. He then yeets the scroll into the air, and an insane golden light starts pouring out of the painting. The scroll's energy just explodes, and a power wave shoves all the leaders back. In that instant, the figure in the painting seems to be coming alive, and the pressure becomes so intense it's crushing everyone. The lackeys can barely stand against the insane pressure blasting from a simple scroll. Once the vibes chill, the elder's like, "So, still doubting my genius deduction?" He breaks it down. The painting has sword intent, but since the artist is a total normie, there's only one possibility. And with that, everyone's totally floored, hyping up their master's galaxy brain for solving it with just a few clues. The sect leader gets a smug look and goes, "Well, he was right, because he's a certified genius." He adds that the inspector is a weirdo who swaps OP items for random junk on his trips. One of the dudes totally agrees, and another wonders if they should try to suck up to this OP guy, but the master shuts that down, saying a lame move like that would just get them dissed by a top-tier player. In his head, though, the leader is gassing himself up, wondering how this whole sect would even survive without him. Meanwhile, our MC is vibing solo on a mountain at night. He figures that demon god art stuff is way too sketchy for him, so he's gonna ask about pills instead. Suddenly, a familiar voice calls him junior brother, and he whips around. Surprised, the guy introduces himself as his number 2 senior brother, Luchin. Our protagonist is completely shook by this. He never expected a house call from his senior. He quickly does a respect bow and greets him. Luchin explains that their number 1 senior is swamped, so he came to show him the alchemy ropes. Our boy gets all self-conscious, asking if it's because his talent is considered trash tier. His senior tells him not to sweat it and tries to cheer him up, because sucking at swords isn't the end of the world. With fire in his eyes, our boy vows to grind hard until he finally gets some respect. The senior brother then lifts one finger and starts to charge up his chi for a special move. With just a flick of his wrist, a massive cauldron just pops into existence. The huge thing just floats there, blowing our guy's mind. He looks at our MC and says, "All right, enough talk. It's time to start cooking." Our MC's eyes are practically shining with pure hype as he agrees, with a ton of excitement.